too soon. So Teofimo Lopez, he's saying the ref should have let the fight go on a little longer. Um, Leonard Ellaby says, hell no, the ref did the right thing. Let the fight, save the fighter for another day. What do you think? This is my opinion. When you look at it, Raleigh gets knocked down. He beats the count. He gets up to his feet. The referee then asks him to walk across from him. He says, no, walk across from me. Raleigh's standing in front of him, presenting his gloves, and the ref says, no, walk a straight line across that way. So what does Raleigh do? He doesn't have his balance, so Raleigh tries to step across like this. He can't obey the ref and turn this way because he's dizzy, and he'll start to do this. I wander right into the ropes. So he tries a little trick. He tries to step across and give his gloves because he's still spinning all over the place, right? Now, if it was back in the day, you see, in different eras, refs were even, they would have let that fight go, okay? So early in time, back in the early days, the referee, you get knocked down, there's no checking to see if you're all right. If you get to your feet, your opponent's allowed to rush you across the ring and finish it. And you have to survive whichever way you can, right? So there was no standing 8 count. Nowadays, you get knocked down, there's a standing 8 count, or count to 10 if you get floored. So if you just touch the canvas, it's a standing 8 count. If you get floored, the ref is then going to check you to see if you're okay to continue the fight. So today, even more than ever, they're looking at the boxing safety because of CTE, the brain damage that can happen from boxing. And so Raleigh's spinning all over the place. And so the ref is asking him to, just like what the ref asked Tyson Fury in the first Fury versus Deontay Wilder fight. He said, okay, walk in a straight line that way. Because if the fighter is still spinning, to turn around is a problem. So after Raleigh got up, his head's still spinning. He's still spinning, right? His equilibrium, his balance, and everything. There are 2 reasons why that happens. One is because the brain slammed into the skull, so everything's haywire up there. But the second reason is because you actually, when you get up from lying down, you get up from sitting down, there's a change in pressure in your body, in your blood flow and everything. So that, your body has to deal with that in addition to whatever brain injury that you've suffered. And so what happens is, it's really difficult to get up from a knockdown. And then on top of that, you have to gain your composure and then be able to get back into the fight. And you have to do that very quickly. You have to have quick powers of recovery. This is why in preparation for fights, you must also prepare for a situation where you may get knocked out. And you have to be able to regroup yourself, get back your composure to be able to fight the fight. And sometimes you have to do it in the middle of a fight. You have to use certain strategies and techniques to buy you time so that you can recoup. With Rolly Romero, he was really trying his best to keep his composure so he could stay in the fight. So what he tried to do was he tried to put his gloves so the ref would shake his gloves so he could focus on the fight. And the ref was telling him to walk a straight line, which is very difficult for a fighter to do once they're spinning, right? So Raleigh could have tried to attempt it, but he realized he couldn't because he realized his feet weren't solidly under him. So he sidestepped him. He sidestepped him trying to get back into the fight, which I do understand. He's a fighter. He would want to continue onwards. And again, let me just say, mad props to Raleigh on taking this challenge. Now, I know he was, let's be honest, he was the mandatory for Tank's WBA regular title. So actually, Raleigh earned this spot. Okay? He did earn this spot. It wasn't the fight we wanted to see, but it was he was the legitimate number one contender for Tank's WBA title. So Mayweather Promotion said, you know what, we ain't gonna bother to try and do no cross promotion or something. You know, outside of the PBC, Raleigh's right there, Tank's right there. Let's put them together. And they were supposed to fight before the Pitbull Cruz fight. Pitbull Cruz came in on last notice because Romero, obviously, he ended up in allegations of sexual harassment or whatever it was, and then or rape or some kind of shit like that. And it turned out that that was overturned, that it was baseless claims. And so Raleigh's getting this shot at Tank, and so they fought. Now, once again, you know, I listened to Shakur say how Raleigh was like an MMA fighter, blah, 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 and he was reaching in. That's not true. Raleigh wasn't reaching in a lot with his shots. His jab was on point to a very good degree. And there's a lot of subtle things he was doing with his feet, which people who don't know boxing will not be aware of, okay? As I said, there's something called precise footwork where you're feinting like you're closer to your opponent than you really are. And it's really, go check out Hidden Gems. Hidden Gems did a nice little piece on it. It's something we all know in boxing, but nonetheless, it's part of precise footwork. It is being in position where people think you are, but you're not really. You're closer to your opponent than you really are, or you're further away from your opponent than you really are. If you look at Tank, Tank was leaning in, even stepping back. He was leaning in closer to Raleigh than he really was, and Raleigh was putting most of his weight on his back foot as he was inching in. He was trying to inch in on Tank, so he was actually further away. He was actually closer to Tank than he really was. And that's, so, you know, there's all these little special effects that these guys do in boxing, right? Lennox Lewis did it with Mike Tyson. You know, what Raleigh was doing. You know, Canelo does it. Shakur Stevenson was doing it with, which opponent was it that he was walking down? I forgot who it was. And he was even doing it with Oscar Valdez a little bit. It's called, I call it precise footwork. You know, I call it remote footwork as well. You're in space, but you're not really where you really are. So those two guys were doing that. It was high-speed chess by two really great chess players. Raleigh's a pretty good chess player. I'm going to say this. He didn't look like no MMA fighter like Shakur was saying. Shakur's just trashing him. He actually had a pretty good jab that he was pumping. And I gave him 2 rounds. I gave him the first 2 rounds. After that, I think Tank took the other rounds, even though the rounds were close. I think Tank was having fun in there, and he was talking to people in the audience. He pretty much had it in the bag after 2 rounds. He saw what he needed to see. I think he felt Raleigh's power. The left hook, he rode the left hook. So Raleigh was able to close the distance on Tank using that same vertical distancing that I'm talking about, where most of his weight is on his back foot, so he could inch in with his front foot and get closer to Tank. And once he got closer to Tank, he would throw his jab in his right hand, and his left hook would come after, but he would be within range to hit Tank. And Tank was able to parry the right hand, but didn't realize that the left hook was coming. The left hook came, but Tank rode the left hook. So when the left hook came this way, Tank just went with the left hook. You understand what I'm saying? Right? But he did taste the power of Raleigh, and he realized, oh yeah, this guy have heavy hands. I need to do this. So he defensively tightened up on it. He kept on the outside, and he closed the distance when necessary. And what Tank was doing, and this is what I was telling. This is why Canelo, you need to understand these things, because you can't be just standing in the corner on the ropes picking off shots. You're not baiting anybody by doing that. You have to actually move. You have to be stepping, going backwards. And you have to learn how to stick and move and fight going backwards based on the intensity of the opponent and the speed of the opponent and the quickness of the opponent and the activity of the opponent. That is how you control the pace of the fight. And for Canelo need to go watch it. Jermell Charlo versus Brian Castano, how he controlled the pace of the fight after, I think it was the 4th round. Tank was in control of the fight from the 4th round onwards as well. He had seen everything he needed to see with Rolly Romero. He started to have fun in there after round 3. And it's because Tank successfully was fighting Raleigh off the back foot, and he was making Raleigh have to come to him. Even though Raleigh was throwing a jab and seemed like he was dictating things, it was all a setup to get Raleigh to commit to a shot so that Tank could counterpunch him. It was all a setup. And Tank was actually trying out that left hook. He tried it out in round 5, but he was mostly going to the body, breaking down Rawley with straight lefts to the body. And then in round 6, he was testing out that left hook every now and then. He was testing it out, and Rawley absolutely committed to doing the very same thing he did in round 2, where he got Tank in trouble, which is he decided to come off the stick, throw the right hand, come back with the left hook. The problem with Rawley is, as we all know, his chin is always up in the air. So he's attacking you with his chin up in the air, and so it was like the perfect knockout that you could ever have. Tank saw it a split second as he was about to come for the left hook. Tank caught him. He ripped him with his left hook, and then he dipped under and he rolled out. He dipped under and rolled out of the situation, and because of that, Rawley Romero, I mean, it was brutal, right? And it wasn't like Tank said, he wasn't putting a whole set of effort on it, because see, knockouts don't come. I love his coach, Coach Calvin. Coach Calvin don't focus on no knockout. And I love what Jamel Charlo said, and what Coach Derek James said. You go looking for the knockout, you're going to tighten up. You're going to tighten up too much. You need to stay relaxed. You need to stay loose. You're not looking for the knockout. It's going to come because of the right things you're doing. And just by boxing, this is why I love what Jamel did with Brian Castano, because he wasn't doing nothing that he wasn't doing before in the fight. He wasn't trying too hard to put a lot of power in his shots. He was just being crisp. He was being sharp. He was being quick. And the knockout came against Brian Castano. And that's another note to Canelo. You don't need to be putting all this effort and force and power into your shots. You got to stay relaxed and just throw the shot. Throw the shot. Throw the shot. And do what you're supposed to do. You work the body, try to find spaces, and pick the guy apart. Because if you fight off the back foot, it actually makes boxing a lot more easier for you once you know how to fight off the back foot. Of course, you got to know how to fight off the back foot for 12 rounds. Because in case you don't get a knockout, you should be able to still win the fight based on what you're doing. And so that's an art that has been criticized by fans who do not know shit about boxing. I gotta say it like that. And it's so important in boxing. Deontay Wilder needed to know how to box off the back foot. You know, you look at all the successful fighters. Floyd Mayweather fought off the back foot. Roy Jones Jr. fought off the back foot. I mean, you have to, but Sugar Ray Leonard fought off the back. Muhammad Ali fought off the back foot. You have to be able to fight off the back foot, not just the front foot. And most knockouts come, I'm going to say this again, most knockouts come because somebody's overcommitted, and so you got to counter them. And that's how you knock these guys out. All right? So if it's going to be a counterpunch that generally causes a knockout, then it makes sense, especially with bigger, stronger opponents, that you spend time on the back foot trying to knock these opponents out. Because at the end of the day, it's about fighting off the back foot and not fighting off of just the front foot. If you go, like, okay, let me give you an example. So everybody feels that great fighters, you know, great knockout artists, whatever, that it's all about, for many people think that pressure fighters are really the aggressive fighters, right? Now, remember, an effective aggression is not just coming forward. Okay? Coming forward shows, for everybody out there, they think that is aggression. But you can actually be an effective aggressor and be aggressive going backwards. Because an act of aggression is to attack. Aggression and calling somebody aggressive is because it's a person who attacking. It's the attacking person that is called the aggressor. So therefore, if I'm fighting off the back foot, but then I'm countering you off the back foot, my counters are acts of aggression. They're not defense. They're acts of aggression. Right? It's offense. Offense is aggression. So if I throw a punch at you, that's an act of aggression. Therefore, it doesn't matter if I'm going backwards or if I'm going forwards. What is most important is my act of aggression whenever I do it. Ricky Hatton versus Floyd Mayweather. Ricky Hatton did something like what Rolly Romero did. Rolly Romero committed to his shot, and what he did was he reached in with his shot. So he was over his lead foot as he's throwing that right hand to load up on his left hook. Ricky Hatton, slipping off to the side, is loading up to throw his left hook as well as he's coming off his jab. And that's when Floyd caught him with a check left hook that knocked him out. The check left hook that Floyd hit Ricky Hatton with was not an act of defense, even though there was defense involved in it because Floyd didn't get hit by Hatton because he stayed out of the way. It was an act of aggression. It was an act of offense. If he didn't throw that punch, then you could say, no, he wasn't being aggressive. But obviously he was being aggressive by knocking Ricky Hatton out with a check left hook, okay? The left hook is an act of aggression. When we look at Tank, Tank is fighting off the back foot. Just because he's countering Rolly Romero doesn't mean that that he's doing an act of defense. So a lot of people feel that counterpunching is defense. No, the actual counterpunch is offense. The actual counterpunch is a punch thrown and landed, and a punch thrown and landed is an act of aggression. All right. Just because a fighter may be fighting in a defensive manner doesn't mean that when he throws offense that is defense. That is not defense. Right? Defense, remember, is about not getting hit. Okay? Defense is about not getting hit. But offense is about hitting. The sweet science of boxing is about hitting, which is being aggressive, without getting hit, which is being defensive. So you must understand there's a balance between being aggressive and being defensive. Another way of saying it is they say swim in the water without getting wet. Meaning, do your thing, throw your jabs, do your offense, but keep your defense tight at the same time. So that is what we saw with Tank. Tank showed us the sweet science of boxing where he knocked out Rolly Romero without taking incoming. He did not have to take one to give one. He wasn't playing that game. He said, no, I'm too slick for that. So he basically, when Rolly threw that right hand, Tank took 2 steps back so that he would clear because Rolly was deceptively, actually was within range. And so as he was loading up to throw the left hook, as I said before, Tank's a lot quicker than him, and he threw his left hook, which he dipped under and then he pivoted outward. Okay? He dipped under and pivoted outward. So defense was involved in terms of the dip and the pivot. That's the defensive part of it. And Tank could have probably did a roll, then dip, roll the right hand, and then dip, and then pivot out. Okay, he could have done that, but he didn't do that. He made an offensive move. With the roll comes the hook, right? With the roll comes the hook. So instead of rolling it, what did I do? I hook and then I dip under and then I pivoted out. Okay, so that's what he did, and he clipped him. But he worked to walk him into that. You can't stay on the ropes, Canelo, and get that kind of response. It's not going to happen. You have to bait the guy in. You have to keep on tagging him with shots, and he's getting impatient, and he's trying to close the distance, and he thinks what he's using, the technique that he's using, which is precise footwork, back foot boxing. He thinks that he'll be able to close the distance and get to you, not understanding that you got to keep your defense tight. You got to keep your fundamentals tight, and you got to keep your defense tight. And what happened with Rolly is he was half a step too slow, and Tank set that up. Tank set him up. And if you listen to Tank in the post-fight press conference, Tank is saying, well, it was his footwork. When we saw what his footwork was like, we knew what was coming to come. Meaning, they realized Rolly was interested in his footwork. He was interested in inching in on Tank. It is not that he had bad footwork or anything like that. It's that him inching in on Tank, he saw what the game plan was when he saw what kind of footwork they were working on. So he knew that Raleigh was trying to close the distance to try to get to Tank to either maul him, beat him down, or land his punches on him. And so Tank saw that and was like, all right, we know what this is. You know what I'm saying? Smash that like button. So ultimately, in the end, Raleigh, he's trying to inch in on Tank. Tank understands that. He knows how to respect distance. He knows how to pivot out the way. He knows how to dip under punches if they're coming. And so Tank decides, I'm going to bait this motherfucker in. And so bit by bit, he's slipping punches, closing the distance, landing little shots, landing shots to the body, landing shots to the head. He already know what this fight is about. He know Raleigh trying to find him. And it's only a matter of time before he walks him into something. And he said that, right? He said that. He said this is what it's going to be. Now, credit to Raleigh on using what Teofimo Lopez called a pyramid, but what I know as just called inching in, precise footwork, inching in, and a way to fight the southpaw. So he was actually being quite effective fighting the southpaw in terms of what he was trying to do. He was pretty effective with his jab early on. Of course, Tank made an adjustment to that in terms of distance, to respect distance. He started shuffling backwards, pivoting out the way, dipping under shots, counter punching while he's dipping, dipping and counter punching, slipping and sliding, coming in, landing the left foot once he got left foot dominance, and stuff like that, right? He was doing those kinds of things. And he kept on moving backwards because he's trying to get Rolly to come in. But in the meantime, he's picking him apart. He's going to the body. He's touching the body different places. He's coming over the top with the jab every now and then, coming over the top with the hook. But he's just doing just enough, pot shot just enough to get Raleigh to. You're gonna have to excuse the video feed. It's the camera just suddenly decided to play the ass with me. Yeah, he just did just enough to get Tank to Raleigh to engage just enough. He knew that Raleigh was going to overcommit at a certain point, and it did happen, and that's all she wrote. Now, he didn't really want to knock out Raleigh at that point. He really wanted to hurt him and punish him for much further down, but he said Raleigh just kind of ran into the shot because that was not his plan. His plan was not to really knock him out so early. He wanted to punch him a little bit more, but the shot was just perfectly placed, perfectly timed, and Raleigh couldn't make it on. He couldn't continue onwards, right? So, was Raleigh stopped too soon? Absolutely not. Smash that like button if you're watching this video. Absolutely not. He wasn't stopped too soon. Raleigh's talking about a rematch, and he wants to get Tank again. I guess that's just a bruised ego, a little bit of a disappointment. Kind of dropping adrenaline, so that's kind of what happened there. But quite frankly, the fight was stopped properly. I mean, the dude couldn't turn around and walk a straight line. Okay, you don't want to put a fighter that's still spinning like that nowadays, especially the referees are going to be like that. You don't want to put a fighter back into the ring. I mean, to do what? To get beat down even worse? And Tank wanted to punish him, so Tank would have probably kept it. He might have kept the fight going a little longer and beat him up, and it would have been bad. And the momentum went into Tank's favor by round 4. At the end of round 4, Tank had already figured him out. Round 3, and round 3 actually, because Raleigh, he's good and everything. But Tank done seen that before. He faced guys big like that already. He in the amateurs he faced one hitter quitters like that. So Raleigh ain't nothing super special. With respect to Tank, what he will do in the future, I don't know. I got another video coming, so you guys can check that out. If you guys want to leave any comments on, like I said, if you want to leave your comments on whether you thought the fight ended too early or too late, you can leave your comments right here. You know what I'm saying? With respect to donating to this channel, I'll put my PayPal in the comment section as well. You guys can leave your comments, what you think, what you feel. But like I said, it's boxing. Now, it was good boxing, by the way. It was good boxing. All right? Raleigh's a decent boxer. He ain't no MMA fighter. That's bullshit that Shakur be saying on him. But there's levels to boxing, and he just don't really have that. You know, even with that sort of footwork he was trying to use against Tank, it only worked for a couple minutes. But like I said, Canelo couldn't use that footwork against Bivol. You know, you that kind of footwork only work um, for fighters who, one, you don't respect their power, and two, fighters who don't understand that footwork. But if fighters who understand that footwork, like Caleb Plant, Bivol, Erislandy Lara, Floyd Mayweather, these guys understand that footwork. They do that stuff. That's part of their game plan. But the thing with Canelo is he's limited in the sense that he can't consistently fight off the back foot. You see how quick Tank is on the back foot? You see how he's able to get out of the way of punches and stuff while moving? Canelo can't really do that. He have the upper body stuff, but he can't really move going backwards like that. His feet are slow going backwards. His cardio, he's quick. He's a very quick fighter with his feet, but explosively quick. He can't maintain that quickness all the way through. He has to take a certain pace, and he has to work on his cardio, and that's why I was telling Canelo, you need to be sticking and moving for 15 rounds 40 times. 40 times. And you got to go at the highest pace you possibly can. Keep on pushing yourself every single day. Then you got to go in with guys who spar and put pressure on you. And you got to be going every single day like that. And then eventually you will be able to catch them, tag them with certain shots. Make sure you place your shots properly. And do all the things that you usually do as Canelo. But you're doing it going backwards or going forwards or going sideways. That's what has to happen. So all your upper body arsenal, all that stuff that you got, picking off shots and everything, you should need to do it while your feet are moving. Non-stop. So that's what I'm talking about. Tank got it. Tank has it. Jamel Charlo has it. They demonstrated. Devin Haney gonna show y'all again the back foot boxing. He gonna give you some front foot boxing too. He might give you some of what, Tank did it too. He gave you a little bit of front foot boxing. They're gonna give you a little bit of it. Erislandy Lara can do it. Jamel Hackett can do it. So you have to have the complete all-round game. Tank got everything. He got not only all-round game, he got power too with it. So Tank can, as you can see, he can cripple you with one punch, right? He really is a one-hitter quitter. He got them kind of hands. But it wasn't so much, again, in this case, it wasn't so much his power as it was his placement and his timing. His timing's so sweet. He got really good, precise, quick, sharp timing. He very, very sharp on it. So he was able to knock out Rolly Romero because it was so sharp with the counter. It had nothing to do really with his power. Like he said, he didn't really put too much mustard on it. He was kind of a little bit surprised that Rolly kind of didn't recover from it. But when you think about it, boxing's all about timing, right? It's about hitting a guy with a punch he never saw. He walked into the punch. And Rolly knew that he walked into that punch. Rolly will even tell you, yeah, I walked into it, right? So, but Rolly has improved significantly from the last couple of fights I've seen with him. His chin's still up in the air, but for the most part, he boxed a lot better. He had a nice game plan. He's improved quite a lot. And I think this fight's going to teach him quite a lot because he stepped up so many levels. It'll either make him or destroy him. And what he got to do is just fuck the ego, fuck all of that shit, and just learn from the experience. Go back, know exactly what happened because Tank set your ass up if you didn't know. Be like, you won every single round. Ninja, please. Tank walked you into that shot. So you have to understand this is chess, not checkers. And you might know how to do certain things. But as Teddy Atlas would tell you so correctly, you need to have that glue, that adhesive glue to understand and put everything together. And you didn't put everything together. You tried, but you didn't put everything together. He walked you into that trap. Tank from the third round, Tank is laughing and talking to the crowd because he know already what this fight is. He doesn't already know your footwork. He knows what you're trying to do. He already knows what you're trying to do. Smash that like button. So for him, it's just a matter of time because he knows what you're trying to do, and it fits right into his game plan. All right, it fits right into his game plan. So once again, boxing is a beautiful sport. If you guys don't know what boxing is, check out boxing. For the haters out there who wanted to see Tank lose and all that bullshit, and y'all coming to watch my channel, and y'all don't want to smash the like button because y'all's haters, guess what? Don't care. Because this channel is about boxing. Okay? It's about boxing. So if you expect me or anybody else who know boxing to say, oh, Rolly was winning every single round. Oh, yeah, this fight was competitive. It was competitive. I'll give you that. Even the rounds that Rolly lost, rounds 3, 4, and 5, he lost all 3. And round 6 that he was losing. Okay? They were competitive. They were competitive. I'll give you that. Okay? But as to say that this dude was a problem for Tank, it was giving him problems. Tank was joking around with the crowd since round 3. He already knew what this was. He knew what kind of fight this was. All right. So, and they already trained for this. They trained for Rolly. They knew what Rolly was going to bring. All right. And again, some people say, you know, I was listening to Dante's Boxing Nation, and Dante was saying that fans be writing off Tank, and you know, they were saying that, you know, Rolly, this is gonna be a mismatch, and this and bad talking Tank's this fight with Tank and Rolly. I'm gonna say this. Any sensible boxing fan, okay, let's just be real. Any sensible boxing fan, and this for Dante's Boxing Nation, any sensible boxing fan out there would understand that this was a mismatch fight. It was competitive, don't get me wrong, but it was a mismatch fight in the sense that Rolly Romero said a lot of outlandish things, of which he couldn't back it up. And the reason he couldn't back it up because he didn't put in the hard work to make it happen. No disrespect to Rolly Romero. Incredibly, I mean, he talked himself into the fight. He promoted the fight like crazy. He made the fight more than it really was, like Conor McGregor did with Floyd Mayweather. Made people believe that he had a shot or something. But the truth be told is, you don't have that hard work to back that up. You don't have that hard work to back that up. You know, and you and your coach might disagree with me, but it's true. You're missing a couple things in your game, okay, to allow you to beat a guy like Tank Davis, right? And this is why it's important to move fighters along. I know he deserved his shot. Okay, it's like David Benavidez deserving a shot against Canelo. Okay, he deserves his shot. He the interim guy. He got himself into position. Rolly Romero got himself into position for a paper championship title shot, right? Because that's the secondary title. The real title, George Kambosos got the real title, right? Even though they're really trying to get rid of the super championship in the WBA, right? But the real champion is George Kambosos. Okay. Nonetheless, he got himself in a position to get at Tank's title. Okay? He put himself in that position. Now, so I can't be mad at it because he was the interim champion. Tank was the actual champion. Fine. Now, when we put those trinkets aside and we strip it down, the expectation by the fans is that Tank would face Devin Haney. Tank would face Vasily Lomachenko. Tank would face a George Kambosos, right? Those are the top guys right now in the division. And nobody want to see Tank versus what the kid name from Africa? What the kid name from Africa? Ah, shit. The guy that Lomachenko just recently knocked out. Y'all know who that is. The kid from Africa. He with that trainer from New York. I forgot what his name is. The kid from Africa. I forgot what his name is. Anyways, all kinds of names passing through my head, but not the kid. See, I can't remember his name right now. But see, y'all getting caught up in Loma facing them dudes, right? Kid from Africa, you know, Nakatani, you know. I'm gonna be honest with you. Them guys, they not on the level of a Tank. They not. Richard Comey, right? Richard Comey, the kid from Africa. Richard Comey, right? Richard Comey not on Tank level. right? Nakatani ain't on Tank level. Okay, that's the guys Loma facing. I'm just being real with you guys, right? So when some of you out here be talking about Lomachenko, should be up there with these guys, Ryan and Tank and Devin Haney. No, look at who Loma facing. Look at the dudes he's facing, right? Oh, Nakatani would do something. No, he ain't doing shit. I'll put Pitbull Cruz on Nakatani, and Pitbull Cruz will knock his ass out. Pitbull Cruz be knocking out everybody. The only person he ain't knocked out was Tank. I got little ass Pitbull Cruz with them short arm T-Rex arms. T-Rex arms. I remember who was his name? Keith Thurman said that, and now Raleigh Romero said the same thing. T-Rex arms. Well, them T-Rex arms knocked your ass out. Pacquiao knocked down Keith Thurman, and Gervonta Tank Davis knocked you out, bro. Stop talking about the T-Rex arms. And you fought a better fight than Keith Thurman did. Yeah, Nakatani is a long, strong dude. But I got little Pitbull Cruz stopping Nakatani. He will stop that fool. He would stop him. That's right. He would stop him. So, little Pitbull Cruz, that's right. That little short little dude, he would stop Nakatani. Okay? And all I'm trying to say is, Vasily Lomachenko a good fighter and everything, but his time is up. I love to see Tank versus Lomachenko. I wouldn't mind seeing it. A Tank would stop Lomachenko. Okay? Lomachenko ain't fight no fighter like the first fighter that Lomachenko fight that's anywhere in the vicinity of Tank, Devin, and Ryan was Tio. Tio. That's who he fought. He fought Teofimo Lopez. And what happened? He lost. Okay? He lost. Then he made excuses about his shoulder and all kinds of shit. He lost. This is the Teofimo Lopez that couldn't even defend his title afterwards. And he got blitzed by George Kambosos. Right? He got blitzed by George Kambosos. He couldn't even defend his title successfully once. Right now he's at 140 talking smack about Tank and all kinds of shit. Tio just be talking smack. It's just ego. Alright? Because Tank beat that supposed pyramid that they got. That's supposed to work to beat Southpaws. Okay? Point being, and it was quite effective early on, but then Tank made an adjustment in terms of distance control, and that was it. It was over. But my point being that whether it's Teofimo Lopez or Orlando Salido, Lomachenko, as great as he is, and I'm not saying he's not a great fighter, can't fuck with these new guys. This is a whole new generation of fighter. And he can't fuck with him. Okay? So, no disrespect to Lomachenko, but he's not in my top three. The red hot guys in that division is Ryan, Tank, and Devin. Alright? And after them comes the other guys. Okay? Of which I rate Jojo Diaz pretty highly. I rate Jojo Diaz pretty highly. Okay? I don't know where Jojo Diaz will fit in the whole scheme of things, but I rate him pretty highly. But Ryan, Tank, Devin. Them three. If you're looking at the 130-pound division, Shakur. Okay? So, that's what you're looking at in terms of the smaller guys. Okay? From 140 all the way down to flyweight, you're looking at those four guys. You're looking at Shakur. You're looking at Devin. You're looking at Tank. You're looking at Ryan. I'm going to give you a fifth guy. Remember this guy named Antoine Russell. Okay? Remember him. Alright? Regis Prograis is a good fighter as well. But Antoine Russell better. I think Antoine Russell's better than Reggie. And Reggie Prograis, bad boy. He a bad boy. I think Antoine Russell's better than him. Reggie Prograis knows a lot of things. He's been in a lot of stuff. He came up with the Charlos and all of that. He got a good background and everything. But Antoine Russell, watch out for that cat. That cat has problems. All right. So you got some hot guys in there, from 140 all the way down. Tank is the king of that little range of fighters right there. Tank is king, and then after that, I think Devin's next. I think Devin's next after Tank. You know, but we got some bad boys in there. We got Antoine Russell up in there. There's another 140 pounder that's really bad, but he's a bad boy. You got to be watching out for him. Oh yeah, Xander. Shit, I forgot what his name is. From Puerto Rico. Watch out for that Puerto Rican kid as well. He's in top rank right now. He's a bad boy as well. I think he's what, 140. I think he's 140. 140 or lightweight. There are a couple good guys coming up on the horizons, man. These young guns, man. So watch out for them. Watch out for them. You know what I'm saying? From 147 go up. You got a lot of firepower. So we're gonna have some incredible fights down the road where some of these guys gonna clash with each other. So I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that. You know, the next generation, baby, the next generation. And we got some hot fights coming up at the end of this year. But yeah, Rolly Romero, he did his best he could. I mean, I saw a really good Rolly Romero. I heard another thing that Dante's Boxing Nation said that I thought was rather stupid, but nonetheless, I'm gonna have to talk about it. Shout out to Dante's Boxing Nation. I'm mentioning your name, so that means all press is good press. But he said something that was to me, kind of stupid. And in the sense that he's talking about a mismatch fight versus a legitimate fight where Canelo lose. So he was saying that Rolly Romero, the best Rolly Romero, who's a heavy puncher, Tank faced, you know what I'm saying? Versus Canelo, who been facing guys who really don't have that kind of punching power. I get what he's saying, but still it's dumb, because punching power don't mean shit in boxing. I hate to say it, but it's kind of overrated. The important thing is that you can deliver. See, if you do what you're supposed to do, then the power works in your favor. So if you are a real good boxer and you got power with that, ooh, that works in your favor. That works in you. You're a triple threat. But if you just got power, I mean, who gives a fuck? Can you deliver it? That's the question. You know what I mean? So I thought, if you're asking me as a boxing fan, Canelo versus Dimitri Bivol, I knew from the get-go that was an uphill battle for Canelo. That was a very dangerous opponent for Canelo. When we're talking about dangerous, we mean in terms of winning a fight. Okay? So Bivol proved that he was a danger to Canelo, and he beat him. Okay? Now, Rolly Romero got power, but that's all he got. Meaning, he has a certain measure of confidence that is real, and then he had fake confidence, which was not founded on anything. Right? He had confidence in his game plan, maybe, but that's it. But it wasn't tested. It wasn't a tested game plan that he could prove, okay, this game plan is going to work on this dude. It wasn't like that. So, whereas Tank's confidence comes from his actual work ethic and the actual result of his work ethic winning him fights and going up levels and beating champions, okay? And knowing what the winning formula is and keeping himself in tip-top shape and knowing he was in real good shape and knowing what they were doing and their game plan and everything that they know would work because it worked before, because they'd seen what Rolly presented before. And this is why Tank was saying Rolly ain't really awkward. It's just he's an incomplete fighter at this point in time. He hasn't fully developed himself yet. Right? So Tank knew going against Rolly Romero that Rolly Romero wasn't a complete fighter. And I mean it in the sense of development. Development-wise, he's still developing as a fighter. So Tank knew this, right? As some of us already in the business knew. This was a big step up for Rolly Romero. This is what you guys don't understand. He took a huge step. Yeah, he got himself into position to face Tank Davis, but he was not ready to face Tank Davis, and it showed. Okay, he was competitive, but he wasn't really winning rounds that people gave him credit for winning. But he was competitive, and some of the things worked early. But just like Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, they may work early, but when Fury or when Tank make that adjustment to that, what do you have to bring to the table otherwise? You have anything else? You see what I'm saying? And so you have to now make that adjustment to them. And he never made that adjustment. He just kept on doing the same thing over and over, whereas Tank knew what he was doing, knew what he was coming with, so he was making that adjustment, and then he was also setting him up to get him to walk into something, because he understood what was going on. So that's why I try to explain to people, in boxing, you can't fake confidence. You can go into that ring saying X, Y, and Z, but you have to put in the work and really put in the work so you would understand. For Rolly, what he was doing was something that he is now getting good at doing. Right? And he exceeded his expectations. I think he pushed himself further than even he knew he could go. Right? And that's good. But he's still getting to know what he can do. Right? He's still pushing the limits of what he could do. Tank, on the other hand, was already confident in what he could do. And even though he of course, he pushed himself and he pushed the limits of what he could do as well, he already had a base where if he was confident about something and said something, he could back it up. Rolly was saying things that he wasn't sure if he could back it up. That's why guys like Teddy Atlas and those guys in the business were saying to people, so here's what's going on. I know Tank Davis, but I don't really know Rolly Romero. Rolly Romero now has to come out there and prove to me what he is, because I don't know what he is yet. And the reason is because he's still a developing fighter. Rolly is still developing into the pro form of boxing, and he's still pretty crude at it. He did a lot better than we expected of him, He still got knocked out within 6 rounds, right? Which was a prediction. Most people predicted that. I didn't verbally say it on here, but in the Boxing Voice, when they had that little voting thing, will Rolly Romero make it to 6.5 rounds and beyond, or less than? I said less than, right? I didn't think Tank was going to get him out in 2 rounds, but I did believe, based on what I even said, which matches up with what Antonio Tarver and all these other people in the boxing business said, and I think most people kind of went with that tune anyway, but it was obvious, right? To most people who understood boxing, we knew that Tank was going to box him and make him run into something. We all knew this. I was expecting Tank to punish him more as the rounds went along, because some people were saying, because Tank was saying how he wanted to punish him, so he would press on the gas and then let off the gas, press on the gas. It was about to happen, because you saw Tank started in round 5. He landed like a bunch of straight left hands to the body, right? He started to break him down, so it began to happen, but the fight stopped before he could even really start to do something to Rolly, because Rolly didn't eat that first left hand. And that first left hand, he couldn't take it, right? So ultimately, in the end, this is why this fight was called a mismatch, in my opinion. All right, it was a mismatch because Rolly still developing as a fighter. He wasn't ready for that kind of level, but hopefully it works well for him. In his training, he go back to the drawing board, and he gets better at what he's doing, and he gets more depth of what he's doing. Now, in terms of rematches, if Rolly won a rematch, get yourself back in position to rematch Tank. Start working your way back up. And if Tank is still in the division, or if you move up a division, maybe you meet him later on in your career down the road. So if he wants to get a get back, that's one of the ways to work towards it. You know what I'm saying? But he did all right. I mean, he did all right against Tank. You know, he remind me of those throwback fighters from way back in the day. You know, like a fighter going against Duran and talking all that smack, and then or Greg Hogan versus Chavez. You know, them guys talk all that smack, and then they get stopped because really and truly, you have to have certain attributes to be able to beat a Tank Davis. Besides what Raleigh has, and Raleigh don't have that confidence. As much as he was talking, he didn't have the quality of work, not just working hard, but the quality of work and the foundation to be able to beat a Tank Davis. As much as he might think he did, he didn't. And it showed when Tank made that first adjustment to his precise footwork, or how he was inching in on Tank. After he made that adjustment, Raleigh made no adjustment to that. You have to come back with an answer. If a fighter makes an adjustment to you, you have to come back with an answer to adjust to that fighter. You know, you be talking about how he was running around the ring like a bitch. Well, that bitch knocked your ass out. So I'm just saying. So if you really think about it, fighters who say that kind of stupid stuff after they lose a fight, it shows me that they can't make the adjustments. You're telling me, if you say he running around the ring like a bitch, what you basically saying is, I couldn't catch him. That's what you're saying. You're acknowledging your limitation. Instead, he caught you, which is even more embarrassing because your ego is telling you to try and go at him still. But you're really basically saying that you less than a bitch. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, in boxing, his best fighter just say, you know what, the better man won tonight. Yeah, he caught me. You know what I'm saying? We're going to see what we can do to make adjustments. I've learned a lot tonight. I have to process the whole fight. Or if you didn't learn a lot tonight because you got your ass knocked out in front of everybody. So it's definitely embarrassing. But what you can do as a fighter is say, you know what? I'm going to go back, look at the fight, and we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to make adjustments and see what we can do. That's it. You know, it was a hell of a promotion. I'm proud to have done, you know, be part of this great promoted event. I had fun. I hope you had fun. And we go back to the drawing board. That's all you got to say. But, of course, in the moment, having been knocked the hell out, undefeated fighter losing your O like that, and then on top of that, you know, you try so hard and you feel you actually truly believe that you could have beaten this dude. Obviously, you're going to be talking about rematch and all kinds of stupid things you're going to say. And all of that's part of the mature process. You know, Tank has been through that in the amateurs. You know, he's lost a fight. And then he probably talked a bunch of rubbish afterwards, and then he learned his lesson. So it's not something that Tank didn't go through before, which is why Tank is the way he is. He's staying humble and everything because, you know, the last thing you need to be doing. And notice Tank did not clown Rolly for 1 minute. He laughed, but he never really clowned him. And he only had good things to say about him. And it's because once the fight is over, there's no reason, there's nothing to prove anymore, right? So he just wants to wish Raleigh nothing but the best. And, you know, hopefully, maybe down the road, he meet him again. You know what I'm saying? That would be great because that would show that Raleigh took the loss, bounced back like a true champion, and kept it moving. You know what I mean? And I think Raleigh's a guy who he's gotten this far, so why not? Just keep it moving. And he's working on his craft. You can see he knows his chin was up in the air. He knows he was reaching in for the shot, and that's why he got caught. So he's aware of what he did wrong. He exaggerated some of his accomplishments, but that's okay. That's a little bit of ego going in there. He did very well, though. He did very, very well. So if he's talking, maybe you can interpret it as, man, I did exceptionally well. I outdid myself. You know, I kept my composure. You know, I stayed behind my jab. You know, I stayed behind my stick. You know what I mean? I was walking him down. He wasn't walking me down. You know, those kinds of things. it helps. It helps. So there's a lot of positives for Raleigh to take out of this in terms of his development as a fighter. Um, so he has nothing to be ashamed of. You stepped up in competition. You stepped up tremendously in competition. You stepped up to the best fighter in from 140 all the way down to flyweight. You basically faced that dude, right? I know some of y'all will say, well, no, and he's better than Tank, or at least in terms of accomplishments. Absolutely, in terms of accomplishments, he's better than Tank. In terms of the eye test, fuck no. I'm just letting you know. And he knew he's a super sharp guy, but I saw him against Donaire, and he didn't look that great. Okay, in my opinion, he did make the adjustments though. Of course, Tank is no Donaire, so not Tank. Raleigh's no Donaire, so that also makes a difference. But still, at the same time, I'm just saying that that's arguably the best fighter from 140 to flyweight. In the smaller weight classes, I'm gonna say that Tank is probably the best fighter in the smaller weight classes. In terms of experience, he has a lot of experience, and in terms of also all the skills and abilities that he brings to the table, in addition to his power, right? He's probably the best fighter right now. But like fight fans, purists like myself, we want to see Tank up there against some of the best fighters in the division. That is what we as purists want to see, and I got no qualms with that. I would like to see the same. I would like to see him against either Devin or against because Devin's gonna take it. You notice I'm talking like Devin already got the undisputed in hand. I know Devin's not thinking like that. He's making sure he does his eyes, cross his teeth, do what he's supposed to do. But I'm just letting you guys know Devin gonna take it as well. This is it. If you're a purist in the sport of boxing, you understand boxing like that, you will understand why Devin Haney, the hype that around him is real. It's not no fake hype. And y'all gonna understand. He gonna go down in Australia and take that. He taking that. That title's his already. He's taking it. All right. I'm just telling y'all. Right. I'm not trying to. I understand boxing politics and all of that and blah 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 blah. But he's taking that. Boxing Learner said, no, it was stopped at the right time. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely, Boxing Learner. Who is Boxing Learner? First time I'm seeing you on my channel. Shout out to Boxing Learner. You have a channel that people can go watch videos on? Absolutely, was stopped at the right time, Boxing Learner. We just talking about, if you go back and watch this is like 58 minutes, almost an hour long. You will see that I've been going into that in detail. Rolly Romero couldn't laterally move and walk the line that the referee was asking him to do. And that means that he's still spinning up top there. So it didn't make no sense. He was going to be a sitting duck. Even though he's trying to stay in the fight. Maybe if this was about 10, 15 years ago, the ref might have let it go. But nowadays, they're trying to protect the fighters. Their health, that is. And last thing you need is for the fighter to be wrecked. It's better if he goes up there and says, Tank caught me with a good shot, but I was winning the fight for 6 rounds. Then he's in the hospital somewhere with a swollen brain that they have to open up and stuff. We don't need that. Troy Ingram says, what's up at church? Check out the video later. All right, man. He's at church right now. Troy Ingram. That's my dude. He be always checking out my videos. Troy Ingram used to actually do interviews and stuff with boxers, man. He deep in boxing. I love the guy. I hope he starts it back again. It was a lot of meaningful interviews he used to have. Yeah, people, man, what you need, getting out of the building. But shout out to, again, the people who like my videos. You can also donate via PayPal if you so need. I don't care what you donate. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to leave that there with you guys. Plus a bunch of other stuff I'm saying that I hope will just change the mindset of a lot of fans out there. I hope that you as fans don't just go in on guys like Tank because you don't like him. I see people coming through here listening to my videos, then y'all like, oh, this is not an anti-Tank channel. I'm gonna roll to somebody else who would say something negative about Tank. I'm like, fuck y'all. You know, because y'all are not fight fans. Y'all are not fight fans. You can call something for what it is. Yes, we knew this was a mismatch. You can call it for what it is, and yet at the same time appreciate what it is. And of course, Rolly Romero earned his shot at Tank. Okay, he was the mandatory for Tank's belt. So yes, they were supposed to face each other. That's what they're supposed to do. My problem, I'll be real with y'all, is that my problem, just like any boxing purist out there, with Tank was that Tank wasn't facing the number one fighters in his particular division. He didn't face the number one fighter at 130, which was Miguel Belcho. All right. He didn't face the number one fighter at 135, which was first it was Lomachenko, then it was Teofimo Lopez, and now it's Kambosos. And next it'll be Devin Haney. All right. He didn't face the number one fighter at 140, which is Josh Taylor. The way how old school boxing say you need to go meet the champ, the real dude, undisputed dude. Take him on, right? But I get it. I get it. That's my same thing. Why isn't Tank facing the number one guy? You want to be the number one guy in boxing, but you don't want to face the number one guys in boxing. I don't understand that, right? To be the best, you got to be the best, right? So I got it. But at the same time, with all that criticism, Tank has been beating good fighters, right? Mario Barrios, who Tank beat, y'all saying he weight drained and all kinds of bullshit, whatever. But Mario Barrios is a good fucking fighter. That's the end of the story. He's not a bad fighter. And he proved how good he was against Keith Thurman. Right? Debut at welterweight, he's facing Keith Thurman. That's his debut fight. Right? Not only does he go the distance with Keith Thurman, but he's competitive in certain rounds against Keith Thurman. And he hurts Keith Thurman. Just like Pacquiao did. Just as Louis Collazo did. Right? He hurts him. So, what I'm saying is, Mario Barrios was a good fighter. Okay? Everybody went in on Tank when he faced Yurkis Gamboa. Looked like it was going to get him out of there in the second round, but Gamboa, with his veteran tactics and veteran tricks, was able to make it almost to the 12th round. In fact, he made it to the 12th round. He just got stopped in the 12th round, right? And Tank had knocked him down multiple times. People say Tank didn't have power. But Gamboa has always been a good fighter. Even though he was washed up, we know he was washed up and stuff, he was still always a good fighter. I know, Cruz dispatched of him. But, there's only so much more Gamboa could have gone through, right? Devin Haney beat his ass up, and then, of course, Pitbull Cruz. And probably that's it. Gamboa ain't fighting no more, right? Rough way to go out, but it is what it is. Right? So he fought Gamboa. Then he fought Leo Santa Cruz, y'all. Leo Santa Cruz. All right? And Leo Santa Cruz gave him a good fight. He was just bigger. Tank was the bigger dude. But Leo gave him a good fight. Gave him a good fucking fight. Tank knocked him out. But it was a competitive fight. It was a good fight. You can't have Leo Santa Cruz on your resume, and that ain't a good resume. You just can't. And you can say how much you want that Leo was a smaller guy coming up in weight to 130, Tank was coming down. You can say whatever you want. The truth be told, as Coach Calvin said, Tank is really a 126 pounder that moved up to 130, then went up to 135, then went up to 140. Okay? But Tank can make 130. You saw him on the scales, 133 he was for this fight. He was in ridiculous shape, but nonetheless, he was 133 for this fight. Meaning, he could make 130 still. He could go down to 130 if he need to. Tank be going up and down in weight like Canelo Alvarez. He be going to 130, doing some stuff, going up to 140, doing some stuff, coming down to 130. That's called a pound-for-pound fighter, y'all. All right? That's called a pound-for-pound fighter. That's what pound-for-pound fighters do. Okay? So, yeah, he's not facing the very best of every division in terms of who's ranked where in the division, right? He didn't face Miguel Belchout when he was there, okay? He didn't face whether it was Lomachenko or Teofimo Lopez or Kambosos right now. But here's the thing. He can still do that, right? So maybe the next fight might be Devin Haney. Maybe. We don't know. You know, I don't know how Mayweather Promotions doing it if they're just crunching numbers, because the thing about Tank is Mayweather Promotions is not depending on us, the hardcore fans, when they work with their demographics, and Tank is a crossover kind of fighter. He already had his roots in the hip hop and the underground scene, and you know, the urban Black American scene. So he has roots in that. He's respected those communities. So that's why those people keep on coming down and supporting him. And some of them don't know shit about, you know what I'm saying? And then the casual fans, and now we're seeing Hollywood celebrities coming to these fucking fights. You know, Madonna up in there, you know, comedians, you know, we're seeing big celebrities coming up for these fights, because the what do you call it? The legend of Tank now is that he's like a mini Mike Tyson. And so that very quickly people are the allure of Tank is coming to. And the thing with Tank is Tank can fucking box. If you ever seen Tank in the amateurs, you see this motherfucker is exciting because he can box his ass off. He don't only stop guys, he can box. So the thing with Tank, which makes him so special and exceptional, everybody even says he's a special fighter, etc., is that Tank not only can bang, he can bang, but he can also box. And very, very, very well. And he's athletic and everything on top of that. So Tank is a problem. Alright? But we got now DHP. We got now DH from Oakland. Right? Devin Haney. He is special fighter as well. More of a boxer than a boxer puncher, but he's a very special fighter as well. He cut from the cloth to Andrew Ward, Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker, Mike McCallum, Sugar Ray Leonard, cut from the cloth, Zab Judah. Okay? You know? He been with them trainers. Mickey Bay. Right? Floyd Mayweather Sr. Jeff Mayweather. I mean, he's embraced, and he has inside of him many teachings from these different types of trainers. Always asking questions, always coming to different trainers, trying to get knowledge about the sport of boxing. Voracious appetite for the sport of boxing. Voracious work ethic. Shit, Devin Haney versus Tank, that's a fight we got to see. We got to see that shit. And everybody knows that. Leonard Ellaby knows that. That's a little bit on down the road, maybe. If they don't clash now at lightweight. I mean, Tank would love to have that fight. Down the road, you know, boxing is a sport where you can't count on your chickens before they hatch. So we got to see what happens with Devin and Kambosos in Australia, you know. But I have the utmost confidence that Devin Haney has been prepared for this moment. You know, his father always had him under different trainers. So Devin will perform regardless of what trainer is training him. And that's what Shakur was saying. Devin been prepared for this moment. You know, well by his father. His father knew that he wouldn't always be there for him. So he might be the head trainer, or he might be the guy in the corner, you know, and you may have, like, for example, Ben Davison was his trainer as well. So, you know, he's going down there with Zab Judah's father, excellent trainer. I mean, got Zab Judah to become undisputed champion of the world. Let Zab Judah to become six-time world champion. Fucking Zab Judah, Yoel Judah knows what the fuck he's doing. So we're not worried about that. Okay, because that pair of eyes can see all kinds of shit that's happening outside the ring. So he can give. You see, you remember, our trainer or coach, most of the work is done in the gym, right? The game plan and everything is devised in the gym. So when you're going out there, and remember, he's still talking to his father on the phone. So his father's seen all the training sessions and everything from the phone, and his father will make comments and stuff also. So it's not like he doesn't have dialogue over there as well with his dad. It's just that his dad's kind of distant, you know. But even so, all the work's supposed to be done in the gym. So it's not a whole bunch of talking in a fight, you know, because once the trainer says something to you, you understand what it was because you was running the drills all the time. You was running the drills. You was doing it in sparring. You was doing your homework. So all the homework been done a long time ago. That's why they came across to Australia. You know, they came across to Australia 3 weeks in advance because all the homework was done already. All the hard training is already done back there. So they just acclimatizing, getting themselves used to it, running routines, just making sure they acclimatize, had their sparring partners, whatever, doing their thing over in Australia. So believe you me, Devin Haney, you know, he be doing his thing. And he knows what he's supposed to do in this fight. It's kind of like with Tank. Tank knew what he was up against Kambosos. Against Rolly Romero. Well, you think Devin Haney doesn't know what he's up against George Kambosos? Of course he knows what he's up against with respect to George Kambosos, right? So you got to understand that there's all these things, and you know, in the amateurs, they're just putting you in with a fighter that you may have never seen, and you have to make adjustments, and you have to be able to come out on top. And it depends on your pedigree, skills, your abilities, your training, right? So it's the same thing. They have a game plan, I'm sure. They have a game plan for Kambosos, but obviously, ultimately, in the end, and I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it again. I already know how this fight comes out, and the reason I know how this fight comes out is because Devin Haney's jab. Devin Haney's jab. See, there's different things that separate a fight from another fighter. Okay, and the thing that separates Devin Haney from Kambosos is his jab. That's the key in this fight. All right, so that is what's going to give Devin Haney the victory over George Kambosos. Is his jab. All right, I just identified it for you guys. And it's not every single fight that the jab dominates a fight. Okay, so don't take this as a general rule, but it's just when you look at Devin Haney, you look how he fights, right? You look at George Kambosos, and you look at how he fights. You realize that the superior fighter is superior because of his jab. It's the jab that made the difference in this fight. It's kind of like with Bivol versus Canelo. Bivol jab made the difference in that fight. It wasn't just a jab, it was jab and movement, but you understand what I'm saying. Devin Haney's the same thing. And when I say somebody has a superior jab, I'm not really talking about one type of jab. Devin Haney throws 3 to 4 different kinds of jabs, and he does many different things with those jabs that allows him, as simplistic as it sounds, which allows him to get control over fights. Dmitry Bivol, he throws different kinds of jabs. It's not just having a hard, stiff jab like everybody keeps on telling you. It's about being able to change the speed of the jab, the timing of the jab, the power on the jab, you know, pace of the jab, etc. And change your movements with that. So Devin Haney is really good at doing that. And so that's what will make the difference in this fight. Between Kambosos is a great counterpuncher, but he got to get in range. You got to get in range to counterpunch. Just like with Canelo. Canelo's a great counterpuncher, but you got to get in range to counterpunch. And if I'm dictating the fight because you can't get to me because I'm keeping you off of me and I'm controlling you, because that's very important. It's not just keeping you off of me, but controlling you. And one of my major tools is my jab. You're in problems. Okay? So that's what you have to understand about, you know, Devin Haney and why this fight is a mismatch. I said it. It's a mismatch. All right? Devin Haney is hands down the superior fighter between those two fighters. I'm just talking boxing here. I'm not trying to be. I like George Kambosos. I like his attitude. I like his application. I like his confidence in his abilities and skills. I like his work ethic. Okay, it have nothing to do with whether I like George Kambosos or I don't like George Kambosos. I like both fighters. I'm telling you this based on my understanding of boxing. Okay, so don't. Let me tell you something. I love fighters. I love boxers. I love fighters and I love boxers. All right. Even Rolly Romero, I like him, and I'll tell you all the positive things that he did in that fight. Don't get it twisted. It's not like I have a hate and I side with this fight. No, I'm just telling you from a boxing perspective. This is what I see. Okay, and that's what makes the fight not close. And it is a mismatch. It's a mismatch. Y'all will not see that. Some of y'all will say it's a 50-50 fight and blah blah blah. I'll be like, I wish it was a 50-50 fight. I really wish it was. Prove me wrong. George can prove me wrong. Shut me up. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to, with the Canelo versus Bivol, same thing. I'm not trying to spoil anybody's parade or break somebody's parade or some shit like that. But I'm just saying, though. I'm just saying. That's the difference in this fight. If you're going to put down some money, I suggest you put it on Devin Haney. I'm just saying, if you're a betting person. You know what I mean? So, just certain things you should be aware of. That's all I'm saying. But nobody could ever take it away from George Kambosos. He always going to be unified lightweight world champion. That's a tremendous accomplishment. That is not going nowhere. So regardless of whether he wins the fight or he doesn't win the fight, or he decides to pull a rematch or doesn't to ask for the rematch after the fight, I'm going to say this, though. He was unified world champion. And he always going to be a top lightweight. Maybe not the top 3 lightweights, but he always going to be a top lightweight. He going to be always a force to reckon with. And who knows? If Devin Haney leave the division, Tank leave the division, Ryan leave the division, he may be ruling the division again. Who knows? So you never know. You can't count out George Kambosos. You can't count him out. And he will learn and make adjustments. If he loses a fight, you can see he's a hungry fighter who's going to learn and make adjustments for the next fight. And he's willing to fight to the death. This brother, he's willing to give it his all. He's willing to fight to the death. George Kambosos. That's what I love about him. He's really a true Spartan. And even if he go down in the flame, he want to go out on his shield. He's one of them guys. He could go out on his shield. He's like a Deontay Wilder. He'll go out on his shield. You know what I'm saying? He feels it's honorable to do that. So George Kambosos is ferocious. All right? He's ferocious. He'll eat you live. You give him an opportunity. You give him any opportunity, he'll take it. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of fighter George Kambosos is. And you got to love that. You got to admire that. So I'm just saying, I was just saying it from a boxing perspective, what I see. And the caliber of kind of fighter that Devin Haney is. And a lot of people don't think he's, they don't know. He's vicious himself. He's a very vicious fighter. But he's voracious. He's got a voracious boxing and learning and growing. So, and since he was a little thing on the ground, he's like that. So, it won't be surprising to me that he wins this fight. And he does it in a very tactical sort of way, so that he makes it easier for himself. So I'm just saying, man. That's what it is. That's what it's going to be. So, I'm just letting you guys know in advance, But yeah, Rolly Romero, no. That fight was stopped at the right time. Rolly gets to go fight another day. And the good news about the whole thing is that, it's a good learning experience. You've been with the best. You've been with the very best in the small. Now take that experience, take those gems, it's always going to go down in history as a great fight. and better yourself. Grow by leaps and bounds. Don't go backwards. Go forwards. With that, and improve by leaps and bounds. Because that experience, once you break that down, you understand exactly what happened. It's going to take your game to a whole other level. If you allow yourself, first you're easy on yourself. You and your coach sit down, break it down. Y'all get some actually y'all did the right things. Y'all had Joel Casamayor in your camp. That's a veteran who really has a lot of experience. Juan Guzman is an incredible fighter as well. Juan Guzman. If y'all don't know who Juan Guzman, Google him up. Great fighter. That's the guy that Jamel, I believe, has in his camp. Juan Guzman, an incredible fighter. Once upon a time coach by actually Floyd Mayweather Sr. Juan Guzman. Check him out. Great fighter. I think he was super lightweight champion. Super lightweight champion. And having that veteran experience, those veteran eyes, is very important, whether it's a coach or whether it's a ex-fighter. Canelo had Javier Haragui, who was great help in developing the young fighter. And Canelo needs another veteran, either trainer or veteran fighter, besides his trainer. Oh, shit, man. Chepo is like a fucking master. But if you're going to go back in a rematch with Bivol Canelo, you need extra help, bro. You need extra help from another veteran trainer in the business, or a veteran boxer in the business who got that extra pair of eyes to help you, understand and get some kinks into your game. I think that that's one thing about Rolly Romero. He has some really good people in his corner. Joel Casamayor is a fucking legend in the sport of boxing. Probably going to go into Boxing Hall of Fame. And in terms of Cuban School of Boxing, I mean, you don't have better than Joel Casamayor. As to Rolly Romero's father, again, it's part of the growth process, And Rolly's right. A lot of the greats, a lot of the great fighters, they had a loss. So what? It's a learning process. I like how Rolly's kind of taking the loss in stride in a sort of way. I know it's devastating to lose any time for a guy who, is about winning. But you did better than you did against Marinas in terms of your boxing. You stayed a lot more disciplined. You wasn't getting caught recklessly with shots until that knockout. And you gotta understand, the big leagues, you can't be making them kind of mistakes though. But hopefully you can rectify that, fix that. Tighten up your defense a little bit more, so at least your defense is tight. The thing with Canelo that I have no problems with, and I know 100% I could put all my money on, is that Canelo has tight defense. That's one thing you can't fault Canelo with. He got that defense down tight. It ain't easy to break Canelo's defense. So now it's just the movement. The movement problem is a problem with Canelo. Canelo having consistent movement and being able to take the tempo and pace of a fight down. See, like with Tank was able to take the tempo of the fight down just by using his feet. And probably miss a lot more and pay for missing. That's what Canelo, you got to do the stick and move. You got to get the back foot boxing. You got to get your back foot cardio and your speed and your quickness and consistency going. That's where Canelo falls short. You want to have fighters come to you, but you don't want to move. No, you can't do that. It don't work like that. You got to be able to move backwards and forwards with equal fluidity and quickness when necessary. If you want to control the pace of a fight, you're going to have to pick those feet up for guys who really can't move. You're going to have to move those feet consistently for 12 rounds. And that don't come by nothing else but drills. You got to do foot drills. And I ain't talking about foot drills to put your placement. I'm talking about foot drills, and not just foot drills for speed. I'm talking foot drills in the ring where you fighting off the back foot for 12 rounds at a high pace. A high pace. I'm talking about, if you ever watch that Mayweather drills, certain drills he do, where he be throwing, this dude be throwing like 2,000 punches while quickly. I'm talking a hand-foot coordination, 2,000 punches backward and forth around the ring. So a guy's got a guy's got the mitts here, and the guy's pushing him going this way, and he's going, and he just making laps doing that shit. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? Running those drills. You understand? Because you gotta have those drills. You can't, how else you gonna get that explosive foot speed and that readiness to change speeds when you need to? Tank do the same thing. Those are important drills. And I know Canelo don't do those drills. I know it. Just K says the ref saved Rawley. Good stoppage. Yes, sir, Just K. That was a good stoppage because he couldn't walk laterally. He couldn't walk laterally at all. He just standing up there and he tried to shuffle across. Yeah, that was a good stoppage. And it was a nasty knockdown too. It was nasty. So yeah, Tank is, is what it was with Tank. But yeah, that's what Canelo need to do, man. I'll be saying this over and over. I know it all comes from the feet. Everything happens. Everything starts from your foundation. Your feet get you to wherever you have to go in a boxing ring. And if you ain't got that shit together, it don't matter what combinations you throw. It really don't matter. You got to get to where you need to go to do that. I'm what you need, man. Thanks everybody for tuning in. What I will do is I'll have another video I have to put up after this. Maybe I'll get one where you guys could call. You could hop on here if you want to, or leave comments in the chat section. You know what I mean? But like I said before, I'm telling y'all just how I feel about the Devin Haney situation and George Kambosos. I think Devin Haney's gonna win that fight, and nobody's gonna question it. Like, everybody's gonna see clearly that he's gonna win. And then with the other fight, the other upcoming fights, I can't tell you don't ask me about Crawford versus Spence. I lean towards Crawford, but I don't really know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what Spence is bringing to the table. I gotta see what he's bringing first, and I don't know what he's bringing. So, and I'm not going against Derek James no more, because he knows what he's doing with his fighters, man. He knows what he's doing with his fighters. So, and being that he was a fighter too, so he really has that understanding. And he knows how to get the fighters. He knows how to get that to them, communicate the message to them, and then get them to do the best possible game plan that they need to have. So, it is what it is. I'm gonna catch you guys later. I'm what you need. I'm gonna step away for maybe 5-10 minutes, and then I'll be back with another video. This one, I think I'm going to discuss a little bit about Jaleel Hackett versus his opponent, as well as Erislandy Lara, 8-round TKO over Gary O'Sullivan. So kudos to Lara on that. That's at the 160-pound division. Gary O'Sullivan faced guys like Chris Eubank Jr. He faced, I believe, he also faced Billy Joe Saunders. I may be right, I may be wrong, I can't remember. But in that division, we got guys like Javier Munguia. Jamal Charlo is still in that division. We got Johnny Beck that's in that division. We got Triple G that's in that division. Even though Triple G's going to be facing Canelo at 168, I believe. So those are the guys in the division of 160. That are the top dogs, I think, in that division right now. Demetrius Andrade, I think he's moving up to 168. or he may take on Johnny Beck. Really, I don't really care. Demetrius Andrade beats anybody. I'm going to ride with Demetrius Andrade till somebody actually beat him. So don't expect me to pick against Demetrius Andrade in any fight. I don't care if it's Jose Benavidez. I don't care if it's Dimitri Bivol. I'm rocking with Demetrius Andrade for the win. I've seen what this guy can do. I've seen he got dog in him. He got heart in him. He got everything. So if you ask me who Demetrius, if there's anybody that could beat Demetrius Andrade, I'll tell y'all straight up, I don't think so. But, hey, you never know. He might get old. But I'm a big Demetrius Andrade fan. I'm going to be very biased towards him. He sparred Sean Porter. David Benavidez sparred Sean Porter too. But I don't know who could beat Demetrius Andrade. I really don't know, because he's got that skill set that is very difficult to beat. And there's a reason why a whole bunch of guys are not really ready, and they're not really anxious to get in the ring with him. And Johnny Beck, Demetrius Andrade going to treat Johnny Beck just like how he's treat every single opponent. And y'all going to be like, well, Johnny Beck, Johnny Beck got a style. He's a Uzbekistani. He has a style something like Gennady Golovkin. So it would be great for Demetrius Andrade to face Johnny Beck if he's still at 160. If he's at 168, he's got to face a guy named Zach. Well, he was supposed to face Zach Parker. Zach Parker pulled out. So maybe he goes down to 160, or, whatever he does. I don't know. I thought he vacated the WBO title to go up to 168, actually. But whatever. I don't care. I don't see nobody beating Demetrius Andrade just like that. So I'm just going to be real with you guys. Demetrius Andrade, to me, is a bad motherfucker who gets the wins. And people talk about, he's not excited and all that. That's bullshit. They just trying to blacklist him out of the game. Michael Hunter's another guy they're trying to blacklist out of the game. Michael Hunter's a bad motherfucker at heavyweight. He a bad boy. So there's just certain guys that they're just trying to blacklist out of the boxing, but it's not just gonna happen like that. Once you got fans like me, purists like me, we know what the fuck is up. Okay? And y'all can say what y'all want to say about Demetrius Andrade. At the end of the day, and sorry about the F-bomb. At the end of the day, ain't too many guys out there I know who can mess with him. And I'm going to say this. He could go up to 175, and I think he gives Dimitri Bivol a run for his money, if not beat him. He'll outbox him. I think he outboxes him. And Demetrius Bivol is a damn good fighter. So that's just how I feel about it. That's just my feelings. I haven't really looked at the nitty-gritties and the facts and break down things, like that. But I think Demetrius Andrade beats just about everybody. And they know that. And they know he don't really have the cachet, the promotional company behind him. So they just avoiding his ass. That's the truth. But they're going to have to face him. And it don't matter. Because these days, you could be 34, you could be even 40 years old like Triple G, and you could still be in the game. So I wish them the best of luck. You know what I mean? He going to be around for a little while longer. And they're going to have to face him. They're going to have to face him. So, I don't understand it. They talk about low risk, low reward. I'm like, are you serious? I wouldn't put Canelo in there with Demetrius Andrade right now. He's facing Triple G. So I understand that. But I don't understand why Charlo hasn't faced him yet. Chris Eubank hasn't faced him yet. And he was at 160. They ain't calling for him. They're calling for Triple G. Yeah, okay, cool. I understand. Triple G's a big name in boxing. But y'all can face each other. Chris Eubank called out Jermell Charlo. Chris Eubank called out Canelo. But Chris Eubank ain't calling out Demetrius Andrade. All right, then. Y'all ducking him like the plague. All of y'all. If y'all don't never have to face that dude. If y'all never have to face that dude, y'all would be super happy that you never faced him. I know what it is. I know what it is. He ain't lost a fight since the amateurs like Andre Ward. I know what it is. You don't have to tell me. Y'all know you'll lose. Or you're afraid you'll lose. Risk versus reward. Andrade, I know one guy that might face Andrade, and that is David Benavidez. Even though I hear his promoter, saying, "Oh, we'll need what, $10,000 or some shit like that to face him." Sam Lukowitz. I hear you, Sam. You know that's a risky fight. But it's sad because he's getting treated like Aaron Pryor. It's like everybody's in the room. You don't hear his name. And the same thing was happening with Terrence Crawford, by the way. But the worst thing about this one is Andre was in the same platform as these dudes. Same platform as Triple G. Same platform as Canelo. Same platform as Javier as Munguia. Munguia was actually, if I'm not mistaken, the #1 contender for Demetrius Andrade's WBO title. And just like with Devin Haney, dudes be lined up as the #1 contender. Ryan Garcia was lined up as the #1 contender. Javier Fortuna was lined up as the #1 contender. Well, Jojo Diaz actually took it. Jojo Diaz, my props to Jojo Diaz again. You know, he actually stepped up to the plate. You know, but I'm just saying, all of these guys was so Munguia was the #1 contender for Demetrius Andrade's WBO title. Ninja wouldn't take it. Same platform, same network, wouldn't face him. Why? Why do you think? 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 He's advised not to. Now they saying Demetrius Andrade is running from Johnny Beck. Oh, wait, hold up. Why would he be running from Johnny Beck? What does Johnny Beck bring to the table that makes a Demetrius Andrade want to quake? Huh? Andrade been asking for the Triple G fight. This dude have a style like Triple G. He's not facing fighters on the level of what Demetrius Andrade has even faced in his career. Why would he be afraid of Johnny Beck? Explain this to me. Explain it. Now remember, Johnny Beck's with Top Rank and ESPN, right? Demetrius Andrade's with DAZN. But I'm just saying, how would Demetrius Andrade be ducking Johnny Beck? Why? He wanted to face Triple G. Why would he be afraid of Johnny Beck? Y'all tripping. I'm going to get you guys later. I'm what you need. But again, Rolly Romero, he thank God he got stopped. You know, the referee stopped the fight. Okay? Could have been worse. But shout out to Rolly Romero. He got a true heart of a warrior. You know. And thanks for promoting the dickens out of this fight. Hopefully the pay-per-view does very well. And it definitely ended in a KO. I'm going to catch you guys later. I'm what you need. Peace.